That's the test. Engine repair test 1 comes from chapters 1 and 2. All right. So engine repair 2, and it's like I say, it's from the first 2 chapters in that book. So let's see if we can do this pretty quick. Before moving electronic part from the package, technician should ground the package to a known good ground on the car. Static electricity can cook the part. Most guys don't ever think about that, but when that spark jumps out of your hand and hits something, it's about 8 to 25,000 volts, and it can destroy something. Right? So it's a good idea not to handle it until you've grounded it. To lift heavy objects, technicians should use the strength in their backs rather than their legs.
False.
You know better than that, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Acids can eat away at a machine surface if the straight edge is not stored clean. Straight edge being like the what we check for cylinder head flatness. If you got to get the stuff off of it, if you got acid and stuff in the shop, it can make it, bumpy. That's just something always you need to protect that machine surface on your straight edge. To prevent damage to pistons when removing rings, you ought to do a ring expander. Yes, you should, but I don't know. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody that uses one. I may have, but one day there was this guy that was he had a big old beard and he like a hillbilly, and he was over there rooting around in another mechanic's toolbox that worked close to me. And I said, "What are you doing in Philip's toolbox?" He said, "I want to borrow his cylinder home." He's a real, I'm telling you, this guy was a serious hillbilly. And I said, "Well, don't you have a cylinder home of your own? You're an engine mechanic." He said, "My brother borrowed my cylinder home and he didn't give it back." I said, "Why don't you get your brother by the beard and jerk him around?" He goes, "How do you know my brother had a beard?" Well, he had to. Anyway, I just funny little short story. Class B fires are those involving what? Class B fires are those involving what?
Ain't it wood, paper, or electrical?
Flammable liquids. Flammable liquids are Class B fires. To properly disconnect the battery, disconnect what? Well, actually, the smartest one, 6 is basically the one that's going to create the, 6. The negative cable is the one that's going to create the least spark. That's why most of your switches are circuits are ground side switched, like on, from the PCM. Yeah, because the ground side don't arc as bad.
I took a battery out yesterday. I took the ground off, nothing. I took the positive loose and it touched it just a little. It goes like that constantly. You're like, "What's happening?" I was like, "It's called your positive cable touching the battery."
Yep.
Joker had a bunch of battery acid in it.
Yeah. You just learned all kinds of stuff about the real world over there, didn't you?
I guess.
Yeah. Incidentally, Zach is working at the over where I'm sending George to, and it's really surprising. George don't go over and get corrupted. You know what I mean? Because Zach has already gone over there and found them. When they're doing an inspection, they're supposed to check all 4 tires, I guess. They just want to check one. What's up with this? They're going to put you working with somebody. Hopefully it'll be somebody else. You know what's right. You know what I'm saying? So do what's right.
How can you accurately give them an accurate?
You can't if you don't check all the tires. Well, see, a lot of the mechanics don't like that inspection. They don't want to fool with that. They just want to fix it. He did because he wouldn't fill out the sheets. He was doing good work. The guy said he knew what he was doing. He's doing good work, but I could not get him to fill out those inspection sheets, and I had to let him go.
Those ain't hard at all.
No, they don't take that much time. But the thing about it is, you feel like if this is a shiny new car, there probably ain't nothing wrong with it anyway. I'm wasting my time. But if they want them filled out, you fill them out because it protects you and the dealership too. Well, when using the hydraulic jack, the technician should do what? What should he do?
A.
He should lift the vehicle at lift points. You don't lift it under a floor pan. What does that do? That makes a big bump in the floor pan, don't it? I'm going to tell you something else too. If you jack the engine up and this thing happens to have a cast aluminum oil pan, you know what I'm talking about? Cast aluminum instead of stamped steel, you'll crack that oil pan.
I saw somebody do that this past weekend.
Yeah, they'll bust it.
He wanted to do an oil change, and he said, "Where are you going to put this at?" I said, "Don't put it on your oil pan." He said, "Well, I done jacked it up on the oil pan. That oil pan was like this. Oil was just
dripping out of it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get into oil pan before you do an oil change.
He ruined that. But if you jack it, if you have to put the jack under the oil pan, put a 2x4 on the jack. You know, it won't hurt anything to do that. I mean, like sometimes you'll have to be putting a timing belt on a car, and you'll have to jack the engine up and lower it, and it's just a whole lot better to do that. Okay, let's see. Technician A says you should know where the material safety data sheets can be found in the shop and how to quickly find the appropriate internet. You know what a material safety data sheet is? You know, the things that we got out here. How would you describe those? What is a material safety data?
Basically, all the chemicals and stuff that you have in the shop, what you need to protect yourself from them, and like what they can cause.
If you swallow them, yeah.
Or if you get it in your eye,
yeah,
what to do.
it tells you, you know, yeah, what you flush the water.
Actually, you make sure we do that because we had a kid over there using the bandsaw. He goes, "Hey, look, I can make my fingers almost touch the blade." I teach him over, get out. The kid hit the ground first, though.
Yeah. He'll lose his fingers like that. But that wasn't really material data safety. The material data safety is related to chemicals.
Yeah.
You know,
and they want to try to drink acid.
Yeah. No acid, and any of the stuff you use, there needs to be, you know, material data safety sheets. And there's a box right outside the door here that's got some of those in it. Hopefully you won't ever need them. You know what I mean? If you need them, if you get some on you there, you know, is when you got to find out what it is. And sometimes if you're getting a new chemical you had never got before, it's sort of irritating to try to get those material data safety sheets. Have you guys ever seen the material data safety sheets on dihydrogen monoxide? What about you, Derek? Dihydrogen monoxide. This stuff can kill you. It's corrosive. It can actually just corrode metal completely away.
It's water, right?
Yeah. He knew what it was. It's water. Dihydrogen monoxide. Dihydrogen is H2O, right? I was trying to make a joke here, and Derek was too smart for me. All right. Usually people say you're all wide-eyed when you're telling them that. Make them think they're going to stay away from that stuff. If it's cold, it's really good on a hot day, though. All right. So it is water. On the barrel of a standard... Oh, incidentally, number 8...
Is it C?
8's actually C, yeah. On the barrel of a standard micrometer, each line represents what?
25,000.
25 thousandths of an inch. Everybody in here knows how to read a mic. To pinpoint the cause of low compression readings, the technician should use what?
I think
A
it's
cylinder leakage tester. Now, you see, you're not going to... a compression tester just tells you the compression's low. It doesn't tell you why it's low. But when you put your cylinder leakage tester in there and you put air pressure in, when you've got the valves closed on that cylinder, then you've actually, and you listen to the exhaust pipe, you listen to the crankcase, you listen to the coolant. If you feel, if for compression, if you got both valves closed and the compression's going somewhere, you need to know where it's going. Now, I told that story one time, I think last semester. You may run across it again. We had a little Honda in here one time with a bad engine in it. The guy said it had a bad engine, and so you could spin it over and it would go rah, 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 rah. It sounded fairly normal. But we checked the compression. It had no compression on cylinder number 4. Not a single ounce of compression. Didn't even change the way it sounded when you were spinning the engine. When we put the cylinder leakage tester on it, you know, brought it around to where it was top dead center compression on that cylinder with both valves closed. Put the cylinder leakage tester on it, and it had no cylinder leakage either. Think about what I just said. If you didn't hear what if you weren't bothered by what I just said, you weren't listening. It had no compression, but it had no cylinder leakage. How's that possible? And I'm not making this up. And I tell you, one of the things that I thought was funny about myself, I thought, I had a bunch of students standing around. I says to myself, this is not possible. If it doesn't have any compression, where's the compression going? I mean, it had no cylinder leakage, so why doesn't it have compression? What's the answer to that? Anybody come up with it? You can ask somebody this. You're somebody that knows engines, Derek, you know, that somebody that's a good mechanic. Say, how is it possible for a cylinder to have no compression and no cylinder leakage?
It's a lot.
Huh?
It's a lot.
No, what was they tacked that thing up so bad that it threw a rod, and the crankshaft was turning fast enough to where it beat the rod off and knocked it out the side of the block, and the piston was just sitting there not moving. See what I'm saying? It was broke off, and but it would spin over. Usually when it throws a rod, it's locked up and all that stuff.
Well, what would make a car? We had this gentleman that keeps coming in from Die Hard Farms with his daughter's '03 Nissan Maxima, I think it is. First, it said our little scan tool said it was a cylinder 4 misfire, so we bought new boots and all new spark plugs. And it's still doing it, but then it still said it, and I told him it was probably his ignition coil. He got one last night, and it still fixed it, but it wants to, like out the gas, how it put. I told him it was probably the gas.
Is that idling, you mean?
Yes, idling. He wanted, like it was his idle air control valve, but I asked him what he
That's not going to make it
what
puff,
he got
puff.
the spark plugs at, and he said 45 thousandths, and I looked it up on the computer, and it's supposed to be 44. Can that one?
That won't. No, that won't do it. But now he may have actually, if there is, and those are down in a hole, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
How did he get them in there? Did he just throw them down in the hole and then screw them in like I've seen some people do? If he did that, he may have bent the gap shut, and that'll make it do that.
Well, I don't know if he put them in or if he had somebody put them in.
I would be
I know
rechecking.
he told me he had to get a valve cover, for it because it was leaking oil. It had oil in cylinder number 4. It leaked oil.
Yeah, down there where the plug was, you mean? Yeah. The first thing I'd want to do is pull them plugs out and look at them again.
That's what I told him, to check the gap on them.
See if the gap, because that sounds like a gap bent shut on a spark plug.
Because I told him usually, because when it happened like that at school, when it was doing that, it was usually something to do with his spark plugs.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with idle air control valve.
No, the idle air control valve's not going to make it go poo, 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 poo. Is it an irregular random idle miss? Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's basically like, how on the Neon, when you pull or mess with the spark plug in our first semester, and told us to go put our hand on the back of the thing and press the button, that's what it would be.
Oh, it's a dead miss?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, if it's missing on number 4,
it's still doing that.
Well, if he's already gone that route, all that route, and it's misfiring on 4, he needs to be looking at the compression on that cylinder. How does it sound when he spins it over to start it?
It sounds normal, but then it goes. Well,
I mean,
he said it was his air box was loose too. I was like, "Is that your motor?" He's like, "No, that's just air box moving." Why you want your air box against your hood? That's beyond me, but Then when he kept he cranked it over, then he'd hit the gas, and it'd be like, it'd be like putting, but it'd be like really loud, and it'd get lower when he let off the gas, and it'd do it loud again.
You make it, going with this miss, you mean? Yeah, he's got
a constant miss on all.
Yeah, he's got something mechanical wrong there. He's not going to fix that with spark plugs and electronic parts.
I told him it was either something to do, because he said how the valve had oil in it, and I said, well, did you make sure they cleaned it out when they put that head gas, valve cover gas on? He's like, what you mean?
He needs to be looking at compression on that. And that's a pertinent discussion. With what we're talking about here, that's why I spent some time on it, like I did. But if you can hold the gas pedal to the floor so that it doesn't start, of course, if it does start, you need to let off real quick. Spin it over and see how it sounds spinning over. And if it goes wah, 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 it means it ain't squeezing no air on one of them cylinders.
Well, it spun over like normal, but when he done it, it was like.
What does that mean?
It's a constant miss.
Huh?
It was like constantly.
If it's got a constant miss on cylinder number 4 and all that other stuff, and he's got good spark there and all that, and the injector's clicking on that cylinder, and also you'd have to look for injector flow, which was like we did on the Neon this last semester here. This is important, guys. Listen to what I'm telling you. Sean, you remember how the Neon used to smoke? It don't smoke anymore because Sean put rings in it. He pulled everything out of it, and he put rings in it, and when he put it back together, it was running terrible. He had to fix all his vacuum leaks and everything. It was running awful. And so we checked the injector flow, which there's a worksheet that you're going to have on Engine Performance 2 to do that. He checked the injector flow on it, and the stupid thing, the number 4 injector wasn't flowing as much fuel as the rest of them, and it was clogged with rust that had come out of the fuel rail when he turned it over. Hello? 5354. It was the diesel guy. He dialed me instead of the welding. Okay, dial indicators are accurate to either 1/1000th or to what?
2.
Huh?
And an 8.
Huh? That's going to be B. 1/10,000th. That's 1/10,000th of an inch. You know, when you see that, you're going to know it's 1/10,000th. To determine valve spring tension, the technician will compress the spring until the tone sounds, read the torque reading, and multiply it by what? That's complicated, isn't it? A, 2. All right. Is that all your questions? Or you guys fill in the blanks too, don't you?
Yep.
All right. Material safety data sheets provide extensive information about hazardous materials. Blank is hazardous, right? 2 government departments that have strict rules and regulations to promote safety and environmentally friendly practices in the automotive shop are what and what? OSHA and EPA. OSHA and EPA. OSHA. That's Occupational Safety and Health Administration or something like that.
Some people that'll shut you down if you violate their rules.
Yeah, they will lay the smack
Like
down.
Harry Song and Annalisa, they tried to pay OSHA $1.5 million for his safety infraction.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a hired safety coordinator, they're going to shut them Asians down.
Yeah. Well, you know.
You said OSHA and what again?
Huh?
OSHA and what?
OSHA and EPA. You know, one of the things that some people just don't have good sense about the way to do stuff is one guy that works at a particular store over here, that I'm not even going to tell you the name of it. He said that they were moving this gun safe with a forklift on a pallet, and it wasn't even tied down on the pallet. They were just trying to move it from somewhere to somewhere else. And this female employee was she was going to put a price tag on it or something. She had a reason to be there, and that thing fell off of that pallet and smashed her foot to where she can't even walk for a while now, like weeks. I mean, it wasn't just a smashed foot; it was broke bones and it was swelled up so bad they couldn't even operate it on it 3 weeks later. But I mean, see, the thing about it is they could have probably run a hand truck under the doggone thing and moved it safely, but they wanted to do it right quick with a forklift. And that sort of stuff can happen before you know it. You got to be really careful about, doing stuff like that.
I know sometimes when they'll be like, you guys set this battery out, that joker be like this swelled up on the side, looking like about to blow up. I'm like, I don't want to touch that freaking thing.
Why don't you get you some safety glasses to put on your head?
I'm starting to wear them sometimes.
Well, you need to have
there
some.
Was one battery, literally, it was this much. It had this, it was like sticking out by like that much. And it had a crack that long in it, and I bet it was that deep in one side.
What you need for something like that is some welding gloves and a face shield, a full face shield. And then you'll probably be okay, as long as a piece of plastic don't go into your chest.
What I hate is, what I hate is changing batteries on the freaking Impalas and Malibus, where you gotta take that little
brace
off, and you gotta pull it out, and you gotta move the hose over.
Yeah.
And pull it all out, and it ain't got a freaking handle.
Well, the good thing about that is you're actually earning some pay while you're doing it. You're not doing it for the fun.
Yeah,
all right. Yeah.
Like here.
Would you rather be flipping burgers at the Waffle House? All right.
I make good money where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Could make better, but.
Yeah. Well, you will eventually if you keep going like you're going. Used oil filters should be drained for at least how long?
24 hours.
24 hours, and then crushed and recycled. The electrolyte in a battery is basically what? What kind of acid is it? Is it sulfuric acid? You guys knew that, didn't you? I had a bunch of deer in the headlights people. Valve spring tester is used to measure the tension of the valve spring, and a machinist rule is a steel ruler, with increments as small as 1/128th of an inch. A blank is used to measure rotational variation, movement, or end play of a component. What do you use for that? What is that? If you're going to move, if you're going to see how much end play something's got, like if you were going to measure lateral runout on a hub.
Dial gauge?
Well, it's close. Dial indicator. Dial indicator. Okay, antifreeze protection level of coolant can be measured with a coolant what?
Tester?
Refractometer or hydrometer. Spell that, George. Refractometer.
I thought I spelled that.